called him the Chosen One. He carried the weight of every expectation on his shoulders. But he never broke. We were all witnesses. Every rival was defeated. Every idol was destroyed. He took the crown and kept it. Behold the greatness. He is the Forever King.
Move this man!
Ever since 2016, right after delivering the most iconic quote of his career, "I'm chasing the ghost in Chicago," the mission became obvious. LeBron wasn't just playing basketball anymore. He was chasing validation. And back then, that chase didn't feel unreasonable. In 2016, he was closing the gap. The ring against a 73-win team, the Finals MVP, the storybook comeback, it all felt like momentum. But from that moment forward, the reality hasn't matched the mythology.
He carried the weight of every expectation on his shoulders. But he never broke.
So was this still about winning? Or was it about making sure history remembered him the right way?
We broke LeBron.
In Game 5.
So get your ass out of here with that, all right? You understand how you got the Cleveland, how you got the Miami Bill? You remember
That's
that?
true. You broke them in
Okay,
2010.
so remember that, all right?
The Boston Celtics with the huge upset. They advance to the conference finals.
Post-2016, the resume simply hasn't stacked up the way it needed to. 1 championship in the bubble, 0 regular season MVPs, a finals record that worsened, missed playoffs, first-round exits, sweeps, no all-defensive teams. If the goal was to truly rival Michael Jordan in the areas that define all-time greatness, the past decade hasn't done the job. The gap didn't shrink. In many ways, it widened. And when accomplishments stop doing the talking, something else has to step in to fill the void.
But the fact that he was the best player and everybody was depending on him to show up and do what he does, and he was MIA.
He had a bad game.
No, he had a bad series.
These are the facts of the case, and they are undisputed.
That's where the media machine comes in. If you can't catch Jordan on paper, you try to catch him in perception. You saturate the conversation. You repeat the message until people stop questioning it. You don't invite debate, you assert dominance. And that's exactly what we've seen. Not just from Nike, not just from analysts, but from an entire ecosystem designed to elevate LeBron's story.
We were all witnesses. Every rival was defeated. Every idol was destroyed.
You sit on a throne of lies.
The problem is that reality keeps getting in the way. Because when you look closely at LeBron's career, especially the parts people try hardest to gloss over, the cracks are impossible to ignore. The idea that he never broke doesn't survive even the most basic historical check. Long before 2016, before the rings and the super teams and the brand polish, there were moments that defined something very different.
Brings it up the floor, gets away, sets. Nice fake, gets a good open look, and misses the 3. Rebounding Iguodala, foul from behind with 10.6 remaining, and that will do.
You get nothing.
Take 2010 against Boston. That series isn't misunderstood. It's remembered correctly. LeBron was up 2-1. The stage was set. Cleveland was his kingdom. And over the next 3 games, he collapsed. The numbers weren't just bad, they were alarming. Inefficient shooting, turnovers, passive body language, negative impact across the board. That wasn't just losing, it was folding. It was the moment when pressure exposed something uncomfortable. And instead of responding by reloading and fighting back, LeBron chose the exit.
It's funny, I don't know. I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport and why it's the A-all, B-all of everything.
He didn't lose and regroup. He left. He didn't stay and build. He jumped ship. South Beach wasn't a basketball decision. It was a legacy decision. He joined 2 other top-tier players, not to compete, but to insulate himself from failure. That move permanently changed how his career would be viewed. Because great players lose. All-time greats lose. But abandoning your team after breaking under pressure is something else entirely. And then came 2011, the moment that should have been his coronation and instead became his most damning evidence. This wasn't a young LeBron learning the ropes. This was prime LeBron, surrounded by elite talent, facing an opponent no one picked to win. The Heat were favored. He had help. He had experience. And when the lights were brightest, he vanished. Outplayed, outscored, passive, hesitant. 8 points in a finals game, 0 in the fourth quarter. It wasn't one bad night, it was a bad series. And that distinction matters. Great players can have bad games. The greatest players don't disappear for an entire finals while their team desperately needs them. That series permanently altered the conversation, even if people try to bury it now under career totals and longevity stats. What makes all of this more frustrating is the blatant revisionism. Ads claiming every rival was defeated, every idol destroyed. That simply isn't true. Not emotionally, not statistically, not historically. When you line up LeBron against his greatest contemporaries, the results don't tell a story of dominance. They tell a story of competition, and often of defeat. Against Steph Curry, LeBron lost more finals than he won. Against Kevin Durant, he was outmatched. Against Tim Duncan, he came up short. Against Kawhi Leonard, it was split. Against Kobe Bryant, they never even met on the biggest stage. This isn't a resume of conquest. It's a resume of battles, many of which didn't go his way. Winning once against someone who beats you multiple times doesn't equal ownership. It equals rivalry, and often second place. And yet, the language never reflects that nuance. When LeBron wins, it's personal. He owns teams, he dominates cities, he breaks franchises. But when he loses, it's suddenly abstract. Basketball becomes a team sport. Accountability evaporates. Credit is individualized. Blame is collectivized. That contradiction sits at the heart of the frustration many fans feel. You can't have it both ways. You can't claim the throne in victory and hide behind the crowd in defeat. What's even more revealing is how LeBron's presence didn't stop other legends from rising. During his era, nearly every other elite player built their own championship legacy. Kobe, Duncan, Dirk, Curry, Durant, Giannis, Jokic. Even emerging stars found ways to win with LeBron still active. The myth that he blocked greatness simply doesn't hold up. In many cases, beating LeBron elevated others. Their rings didn't come despite him, they came through him. And when you really break it down, the list of players LeBron truly dominated in the postseason doesn't include the all-time giants. It includes very good players, not era-defining ones. Derrick Rose's Bulls, Paul George's Pacers, DeMar DeRozan's Raptors. Strong teams, respectable stars, but not legends. Dominating those teams doesn't rewrite history, it confirms expectations. This is where the contrast with Michael Jordan becomes impossible to ignore. Jordan never needed to declare himself the greatest. His ads didn't rewrite history, they confronted it. He spoke openly about failure, missed shots, lost games, missed opportunities. He didn't pretend he never broke. He explained how breaking forged him. That honesty created trust. It made the success feel earned. LeBron's messaging does the opposite. It smooths over failure. It reframes losses. It elevates intent over outcome. Instead of, "I failed and grew," the narrative becomes, "I was always great." That insecurity bleeds through every carefully produced clip and every grandiose declaration. The more the message is pushed, the more resistance it creates. Greatness isn't something you announce. It's something others decide when the career is over. You don't campaign for it. You don't demand it. You don't script it into commercials and expect people to nod along. Fans are smarter than that. They remember what they saw. They remember the collapses, the exits, the contradictions. No amount of cinematic editing can erase lived experience. At the end of the day, LeBron James is undeniably one of the greatest players ever. That shouldn't even be controversial. But greatness and greatest of all time are not the same thing. One is earned through excellence. The other is earned through dominance, consistency, accountability, and an unshakable competitive core. And that's where the conversation breaks down. Jordan never chased the crown. He let others place it on his head. LeBron keeps reaching for it himself, adjusting the mirror until the reflection looks right. And that difference, more than rings, more than stats, more than longevity, is why the debate never ends. Because if you're truly the king, you don't need to tell people. They already know. And this is where the conversation reaches its most uncomfortable truth. Because what ultimately separates LeBron from Jordan isn't talent, or intelligence, or even basketball skill. It's psychology. It's how each man responded when the world refused to bend to his will. Jordan faced resistance and internalized it. LeBron faced resistance and externalized it. Jordan took losses personally but privately. He didn't ask the public to reinterpret them. He didn't need analysts to contextualize them. He didn't release documentaries mid-career to remind everyone how hard his journey was. When Jordan lost, he disappeared into the gym, into obsession, into rage. And when he came back, he didn't explain himself. He punished whoever was in front of him.
LeBron, on the other hand, narrates his struggle in real time. Every setback is framed. Every criticism is addressed. Every failure comes with an explanation. The difference is subtle, but it matters. One approach projects supreme confidence. The other reveals a constant awareness of how the story is being told. That awareness has followed LeBron everywhere, from press conferences that sound like legacy briefings to post-game quotes clearly designed for headlines rather than honesty. Even moments that should be organic, breaking the scoring record, winning a championship, sharing the court with his son, are wrapped in self-mythology. Nothing is allowed to simply be. Everything must mean something for the legacy. And that constant self-awareness creates a paradox. Because the more you try to control how history remembers you, the more you expose how badly you want history's approval. Jordan never argued with ghosts. He never chased them. He haunted the league himself. Another uncomfortable reality. LeBron's greatest strength, his adaptability, has also become a weakness in the GOAT debate. He has been a scorer when needed, a facilitator when convenient, a defender when motivated, and a leader when conditions were right. But that flexibility has often doubled as an escape hatch. When scoring fails, he passes. When defense slips, he conserves energy. When leadership becomes uncomfortable, he delegates it. Jordan had no escape routes. When his team struggled, there was nowhere to redirect responsibility. The burden always circled back to him. If he lost, it was his failure. If he won, it was his doing. That clarity is brutal, but it's also what cements legacy. There was no ambiguity about who owned the moment. With LeBron, ownership is always conditional. Even the longevity argument, often presented as his ultimate trump card, begins to unravel under scrutiny. Yes, LeBron has played longer at an elite level than anyone in history. That is remarkable. But longevity alone doesn't equal supremacy. Playing longer doesn't automatically mean playing higher. Accumulating stats doesn't replace defining eras. Surviving time isn't the same as mastering it. Jordan burned brighter for a shorter span, but during that span, the league bent completely. Players feared him. Teams restructured themselves just to survive him. Franchises delayed rebuilds because of him. Championships felt inaccessible because of him. There was no LeBron fatigue era where teams waited him out. When Jordan was there, the door was closed. With LeBron, the door was often open, sometimes wide open. And perhaps that's the most damning contrast of all. During LeBron's reign, the league didn't feel oppressed. It felt competitive, fluid, opportunistic. Teams believed they had a chance. Stars believed they could outmaneuver him. And more often than not, they were right. That's not what dominance looks like. Dominance suffocates hope. Dominance creates inevitability. Dominance ends debates before they begin. Jordan ended conversations. LeBron extended them. And that's why the GOAT debate persists. Not because Jordan's case is weak, but because LeBron's camp insists the debate must exist. It's not organic. It's manufactured. It's kept alive through repetition, through selective framing, through constant comparison rather than clear separation.
The irony is that LeBron's career would be viewed more favorably if the GOAT conversation were abandoned altogether. If he were simply allowed to stand as a singular, unprecedented figure, a player defined by versatility, longevity, and intelligence rather than supremacy. But that restraint has never been part of the plan, because LeBron doesn't want to be remembered as one of the greatest. He wants to be remembered as the greatest, and wanting something that badly tends to show. You see it in the defensiveness, in the passive-aggressive responses to criticism, in the need to remind people of sacrifices made, miles traveled, points scored, in the insistence that context always matters, except when it doesn't benefit him, in the refusal to let moments stand without commentary. So when this debate finally ends, and it won't end because someone declared a winner. It will end because distance clarifies things, because emotion fades, because storytelling gives way to substance. And when that happens, the crown won't be handed to the loudest voice or the longest resume. It will go to the one who never had to ask for it.